Nobody saw him in the water. Nobody saw him in the dark. Nobody saw the 300-pound man crying alone at 2 a.m., wondering if he was worth anything. The world only saw David Goggins when he became unstoppable. They called it talent. They called it genetics. They called it luck. It was none of those things. It was 5 disciplines built in silence, before anyone knew his name. Before the records, before the books, before the interviews and the millions who say his name, there was a boy named David, not the Goggins, a different man. A man working pest control, 300 pounds, a broken spirit. A man who had failed not once, not twice, but every single time he tried. He was 24 years old. He had been rejected from military service. He had been told he was not enough. And for a long time, he believed them. But deep in that darkness, before anyone was watching, something began to build. Not inspiration, not a moment of clarity, something harder, something silent. 5 disciplines that would make the world eventually say his name with a kind of reverence they reserve for forces of nature. The first discipline is the hardest one to face. Not the miles, not the weights, the mirror. Goggins did not begin with a plan. He began with honesty. He stood in front of a mirror and he wrote every weakness on the glass. Not metaphorically, literally, with a marker. Every lie he had told himself, every excuse he had accepted, every time he had quit. He called it the accountability mirror. And every single morning, before any training, he looked himself in the eyes and he read every word. This is not motivation, this is war. War against the version of you that wants comfort. Most people cannot do this. Not because they lack strength, but because they know what they will see. And they are afraid. Goggins was afraid too. He looked anyway. Stop. I need you to understand something before we go further. These disciplines did not make Goggins great. They made him real. And that is the only path to great that has ever existed. The second discipline saved him on the hardest days. Goggins called it the cookie jar. Every time he survived something brutal, he saved it. Not in a file, not in a journal, in his mind. A mental archive of every single moment he thought he could not go on, and went on anyway. Because pain lies to you. Pain tells you it has never been worse. Pain tells you this time is different. But the cookie jar reminds you, you have been here before. You survived it before. And you will survive it again. He reached into that jar during Hell Week, the most brutal military training in the world. He reached in during broken bones. He reached in during every moment the world said, stop. And every time, he found something that told him, keep going. The third discipline changed the way Goggins understood human limits, not what the body could do, what the mind would allow. When your body says it is done, when your legs stop, when your lungs scream, when every signal says stop, you are at 40% of your actual capacity. 40%. You have 60% left. The body does not quit. The mind does. The mind creates the ceiling. Goggins decided there was no ceiling. Not because he was superhuman, because he refused to accept the first limit as the final one. He pushed past the signal. Again, and again, and again, till the ceiling broke, till 60% became available to him in a way it never had before. This is the discipline most people will never know. Not because it is impossible, because they stopped at 40. The next 2 disciplines, these are the ones that separate the people who want to change from the people who actually do. Stay with me. The fourth discipline sounds violent, because it is, in the most productive way possible. Goggins called it taking souls, not defeating others, not competing with others, something different. Using the moment someone doubts you and converting that disbelief into fuel. When instructors tried to break him during training, he did not fight back. He performed harder. When someone told him he could not keep up, he ran faster. He turned every doubt into a deposit. every dismissal into discipline. This is not revenge. This is transformation. The person who doubts you is giving you something. Most people throw it away. Goggins collected it. He ran on it. He finished Hell Week on it. He set world records on it. If this is speaking to something inside you, leave a comment right now. Just one word. The one word that describes what you are building in silence. I read every single one. The fifth discipline is the one nobody wants to hear. But it is the one that makes everything else possible. Goggins did not just endure suffering. He chose it, voluntarily, every single day. He took cold showers not because they were popular, because they were uncomfortable. He ran when he was injured not because it was wise, because he needed to know his mind was stronger than his body's excuses. He understood something that most people never accept. The comfortable life and the meaningful life are not the same path. You cannot have both. Every moment of deliberate suffering, every uncomfortable choice, every voluntary hard thing, it builds something inside you. Not muscle, not calluses, something deeper. The unshakable certainty that you can handle what life gives you. Because you have been training for it. In silence, alone, without applause. But one day, after years of this silence, the world started to notice. Not because Goggins changed, because the world finally caught up to what he had already built. The pest control worker became a Navy SEAL. The 300-pound man ran 100 miles. The boy who failed became the man who held world records. And when they asked him how, he told them. He always told them. There was no secret. There was only silence and discipline. 5 disciplines practiced alone, in the dark, before anyone was watching, before anyone believed, before it was certain. That is the only story behind every version of unstoppable that has ever existed. Nobody saw the war. Nobody saw the work. Nobody saw the 1,000 mornings he chose the hard thing when the easy thing was right there waiting. But you see it now. The question is not whether you are capable of this. You are. The question is whether you are willing to do it in silence, without applause, without proof, without a crowd. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Start building, because the world will not remember how you started. It will only see who you became, and what you build in silence, nothing can take away. If this reached something in you, subscribe, not for me. For the version of you that is still being built in silence, they deserve a channel that fights for them.